Savings at the Frontier seeks to bridge the gap between the supply of formal financial services and informal savings mechanisms, so that their users have a greater choice and use of financial services that best meet their needs. As part of this work, the programme provides funding and technical assistance to selected financial service providers to test innovative and experimental approaches to linkage. We are working in partnership with 9 financial service providers in Ghana, Tanzania and Zambia. A spirit of partnership underpins everything we do in Savings at the Frontier, and we believe this spirit enables effective adaptive management. Before implementation started, we decided to co-design a tool with our partners that would embody this spirit of partnership, that could signal trust, enable adaptation, and allow for experimentation. The tool we developed is called the Two-Way Promise Card. As its name suggests, the Two-Way Promise Card is a two-way commitment. We don't want to simply make demands of our partners, but wish them to know what we will give in return for each promise kept. Our belief is, if both sides keep their promises, this helps to build trust as their projects progress. In this series of 3 short films, we talk to some of those involved in the development and implementation of the Two-Way Promise Card and find out how it's worked in practice. In this edition, we speak to SatF's Fund Managers, John Balaba and Constantin Albot, to learn more about the Promise Card itself, how it enables adaptation, and the role that data plays in its implementation. John and Constantin, thank you both for agreeing to be interviewed today. Constantin, could you first explain how the Promise Card is structured and how it is co-created with our partners?
As an overarching framework to guide project implementation, the Promise Card is generally split into 4 tranches. The first 2 are activity or output-based, meaning that the majority of the work goes towards building and testing the solution that ends up in the hands of the customer. The next 2 tranches are outcome-based, meaning that they pay out based on the progress towards a jointly agreed set of project targets. Those are normally in terms of ISM or savings group and customers reached. This joint agreement or co-creation of the targets for the Promise Card comes as a result of SatF's requirement for the Promise Card, to be included as part of the FSP's main project proposal. Through the business plan development and proposal preparation phases, we had ample time to discuss and agree with each FSP what exactly their project would seek to achieve. And that enabled us, on one hand, to ensure that the Promise Card sets out clearly the steps the FSP will take to meet the SatF challenge, and on the other hand, make sure that the project activities are aligned with the FSP's long-term development and growth ambitions. The structure of the Promise Card I just outlined provides a series of opportunities to assess and discuss project progress, both between and within tranches. This frequent pattern of communication that emerges creates space for 2 types of adaptation. The first one is that it keeps outcome delivery and business case front of mind at all points. Are partners moving towards the target or not? If they're not, can we identify some form of course correction that would get them back on track towards successful delivery? For example, one partner FSP recognized that using its own USSD shortcode brought in both additional cost to the customers and also was not as easy to use as a standard mobile money method. So, building on the back-end infrastructure that had been created earlier on in the project, they changed strategy. And instead of offering the product as a standalone bank product, they partnered with an MNO and offered their suite of linkage products via the MNO's mobile money menu. This made it both cheaper for the customers and more user-friendly, and in turn led to a considerable upswing in adoption and positive customer feedback. Tranche 2, the second of the output-based tranches, is specifically designed to allow for this type of course corrections, in case the original work plan seems to be stalling or for some reason is not meeting expectations. The second type of adaptation that our multiple engagement strategy allows is to recognize the various challenges that the FSPs face throughout the implementation process. Often these are outside the implementing team's control. What we can do to respond to these challenges is sometimes to adapt the triggers within a tranche, or maybe adapt the overall project targets in order to better reflect or accurately reflect the realities of implementation. To do so, we obviously also need to have some form of confidence that it is right to do so. And we usually rely on observed, revealed behaviors showing that significant efforts are being put towards overcoming the bottlenecks that have come up. And here I'd also like to give an example. One of our partners was required to sign MOUs with all major project stakeholders. This was in order to get regulatory sign-off from the Ministry of Agriculture and Local Governance in Tanzania, ministries. This step had not been foreseen at the proposal preparation stage. Had we stuck to the original design of the promise card, it would have been difficult to support the partner through the fairly lengthy and cumbersome period required to get the necessary sign-offs. However, recognizing all the hard work that was being put into obtaining the approvals, we revised the terms of the promise card to support the team through this process and allow them time, space, and some required funding to get the MOUs in place and to secure the approvals. Where we are now is a point where all approvals have been granted, the product is in the market, and as a program, we find ourselves as, if not more exciting about the prospects of the project than we were at the early stages.
Thank you, that's a great example. John, could you explain how the team uses data to monitor progress against the targets in the promise card and as the basis for fund management decisions, and how you support partner FSPs in making data-driven decisions?
Now, all our FSPs are required to record and collect data, which then gets shared through reports. And these reports have different parameters of interest. These reports do help us capture and monitor progress against the main indicators. And these indicators, include the accounts opened, the activity levels for both the informal savings mechanisms and their respective users, the individual accounts. The release of funds is dependent on how many accounts have you opened in a given period and how many stay active. I'll give, a citation of what is included within the promise card, which reads that tranche will be made available by SatF and released at a rate of, for example, I'm just giving an example, of $5 per newly linked peri-urban or rural individual account, plus a further $5 for every user still transacting 3 months after the account has been opened. The reports go beyond the two parameters of accounts opened and activity rates. This looks at the dormancy rates as well, the channels used for transacting, how much of the value has gone through a particular channel, how many transactions in terms of number have gone through a particular channel. All these are, intended to, to help assess progress, but also raise pertinent questions that have helped FSPs to rethink about the product they are offering, given the way, how customers uptake and use the products that they offer. One of our partners in Tanzania had partnered with an NGO, and this NGO was assumed that it would bring in groups that they help, to facilitate. So the banker would only, get groups signing up, for their bank account coming through this NGO that is facilitating these groups. But through data, it emerged that actually this channel of the NGO, the route to market through an NGO, wasn't really bringing as much as they thought it could bring in. And this helped them to make, a timely and informed decision in regards to their partnership, which this could have taken longer if there was no such kind of, data being reviewed, looking at which channel is bringing in how many customers. At the end of the day, are customers walking through the branch, are customers coming through this NGO, are customers coming through, the field officers that the bank has employed, in the field. So this helped the FSP to make a decision in a timely manner.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Constantin, for your answer as well. And thank you, audience, for listening today. We've written a paper outlining our approach to adaptive fund management, so look out for the link for that.